Welcome to This Is What 40 Looks Like, where structure meets soul and reinvention isn't just allowed, it's expected. I'm Melodieann Whiteley, author, speaker, and founder of the Rebel Tribe, here to help you design a life and a business that fits who you are now.
And I'm Andy W. Shepherd, heart-centered coach and creative rebel, reminding you that your best years aren't behind you, they're unfolding right now. Together, we're having the real conversations about starting over, finding purpose, and living fully after 40, 50, 60, or whenever the heck you're ready. So make yourself a cuppa,
Take a deep breath,
and let's dive in.
Welcome to the next episode of This Is What 40 Looks Like, where Andy and I are redefining what it means to live boldly at midlife and beyond. So today we're diving into a conversation that's really close to our hearts. What it actually truly looks like to navigate life at 40, 50, and 60.
Yes, these are really key ages that we go through, and it's basically very different for experience for men and for women. So we're going to give our two thoughts on this about the two aspects of it.
Because you've heard the old cultural story that says midlife means decline, but the reality, do I look like I'm declining? Women today are showing us it's about evolution, opportunity, joy. Think of it like a second, I don't want to say second life, a second awakening, a second, second spring, something. New growth, fresh energy, and the freedom to write your next chapter your way. So let's talk a little bit about midlife at 40, because this is where we start really redefining our identity.
That's right. I mean, the conventional wisdom and what society is telling us, and all of the magazines are telling us that life ends at whatever age we're at. And it doesn't. Life begins at 40. This is what 40 looks like. It's, age is just a number now. And I think this is really exciting times that we don't have to follow convention and all of the stuff which is telling us to conform depending on what age we are. We can live life disgracefully. That's what we're about, isn't it?
I'm sorry, that makes me laugh every time you say it, because I think of Penelope every time. She has said yes. She has said yes to being our first guest, and I'm so excited. So yes, but I remember 40 like really well, because I remember I was juggling everything. My career, I had just gotten a new position with a very large company. So one of the biggest in the country, as a matter of fact. And so I was trying to juggle that because, suddenly I'm working for this very large company, and I was trying to juggle my family, and I was trying to hang on to that little tiny piece of myself. And this is when it really hits that the old definition of success didn't really fit. Plus, my body was starting to shift. Okay. Energy changes. For some of you, you might be going through perimenopause, and it's just easy to feel pulled in every direction.
Yeah, I mean, I was really lucky because basically I was in a rut. I was working for a computer company and they were just sucking the life energy out of me. And it was really stressful, driving me nuts. So I was very fortunate because I fell head over heels in love with a Brazilian and ended up in Brazil. So my midlife crisis that happens to men in their 40s, I was actually in the not in the UK anymore, which was fortunate because I remember women were saying, oh, when you're 40, it's like they just don't want to know a guy anymore because they just say he's over the hill at 40. This is ridiculous. When I got to Brazil, it was completely different. The ages, the older a man was, it was like the maturity was very attractive. So it's kind of interesting how culture can be a part of, it can kind of be different in different countries.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, This is the moment. Give yourself permission to pivot, redefine priorities, plant those seeds for what's next. This is really when I started looking at being a full-time entrepreneur because the cultural norm just didn't really fit me anymore. So start trusting your own voice more than the world's noise. Now 50 is a little different. By 50, maybe you've figured it all out and you're beginning to step into your own power. There's a lot happening. Menopause, post-menopause, kids leaving home, maybe caring for parents. You get a sharper awareness of time. As my favorite Star Trek captain says, it's when you begin to realize that there are far fewer years ahead than there are behind.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting. Whenever we get to an O in the no in whatever age we're at, we really do go, oh, and we start getting really worried. So 40 or 50 or 60. I remember when 50 hit me, it was like that really hit me really hard. Made me think, oh my goodness, I'm half a century old now. I don't know why. I really, really didn't like it. And it really made no difference. And I saw a lot of people around me who were the same age and going through the same thing. And they were just really, going for it and full on and full energy and just ignoring and just working out and just really striving. And it really inspired me to keep going. And I think that's it. It's like, to me, age is a mindset thing. I mean, okay, your body does start slowing down. And, I think it's a key thing to really be looking after your body at this time, getting healthy, getting your energy together. And those are factors which have affected me when, sometimes my health has not been as good. I've not exercised, especially as when we had the lockdowns and so on. I think we all suffered from that. And but if you're feeling energetic and you're able to just get yourself moving, then is you're feeling vibrant, then your mind starts feeling more vibrant and you start feeling younger. I think that's a huge factor. What do you think?
I agree. And this is also when we start shedding old roles and start maybe reclaiming some of those passions from our youth and we start reclaiming our creativity and maybe our own power. It's a renewal stage. I think of 50 as the unapologetic power decade. You always hear me talking about being unapologetically you. I think this is where it starts. You've lived, you've learned, you have all this experience, and now you get to rewrite the rules.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's like the older I get, I really don't care so much now. You know, I was saying this to my wife all of the time. It's like yeah, I really don't care what other people's opinions are. I don't care just what people think of me. It really doesn't matter. When you're younger, definitely in my 20s, it's important. And so you spend a lot of money well, I spent a lot of money on fashion, on flashy cars, and all of the stuff, and the status was so important. Now I really don't care. In fact, most of the time, except for when I'm on camera, I just want to just blend into the background and, just kind of be invisible and just go about my business if I'm in the public eye, as it were. And yeah, what people think, I don't care. I mean, I'd like people to think favorably of me, but when they don't, I go, yeah, okay, well, that's fine. You're welcome to your opinion, but I still love myself. I still think I'm great. It doesn't matter.
I didn't know you in those days, but I'm having a really hard time picturing you in a flashy car with flashy clothes. Just saying, sorry.
Well, when I was working for DEC, a big, in the 80s, it was like one of the top computer companies. And I got my posh Pierre Cardin suits and my silk ties and my Mercedes Benz car and all the rest of it. And I had a house. I'd go out splurging, buying like spending a lot of money on clothes or CDs, whatever I wanted. That was who I was. I loved my money and did a lot of overtime, and then it's like, as I got older, it's like, yeah, I don't really need that.
And now we get to 60, which I consider to be midlife because, I'm kind of there and I intend to live forever. So, 60, 68 is the new 30, just saying. Okay. But this is really when we start embracing our freedom. And I've been thinking a lot lately about my legacy. Um, I know that might sound odd for some people, but yeah, I want a legacy. What am I leaving behind for my children besides money? That's not what I'm thinking about anymore. So this is when many of us find ourselves stepping into a new kind of freedom, retirement. A lot of you that have had jobs are getting ready to retire. Uh, reinvention. Maybe you're not carrying so many responsibilities because you are retiring, so you don't have to worry about your job. Um, you know, maybe unfortunately the parents have passed, but that does free up the responsibility of caring for them. The kids have moved out, so you don't have the children around anymore so much to care about. And that just gives you a new kind of freedom. And then there's some clarity, I think, that comes with all of this because now you get time to sit down and think about what really matters. You don't have the kids anymore. They're grown up and building their own families. You don't have your parents anymore, maybe. You don't have that job anymore. So what is it that really matters? And you get that pull, that strong pull towards contribution and mentoring and living with purpose.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is that it can be quite unsettling because we get into a routine. And so having our children living at home with us, taking care of our parents, we get into a kind of a routine. We're used to it. And that we define ourselves by these things. This is who I am. So when it all goes away, it can really, really be quite traumatic. I've coached many people on this and helped them to see the blessing in it and just say, you did a job well done. You did everything to the best of your ability. So now this is your time. So allow yourself, instead of, you've had a life of, for some people, it's been of sacrifice, really. So allow yourself to start do the things that you couldn't do before, and you start enjoying those things and remembering them and start doing them again. And this is your time now. So it's very exciting, but a lot of people feel very lost. A lot of people, 50s and well, especially 60s. I was coaching somebody recently about this, and I opened a few suggestions up, and she just lit up. She was like going, "Oh my goodness." Like she just hadn't allowed herself to think of it, and it all fitted. It's like, okay, well, I can do this, and this is where I can do it, and oh, they're amazing there, and they're going to love it, and it just all unfolded. It's like it's just we kind of blinker ourselves, and it's just allowing ourselves to open and see and go for it.
Yeah, I like what you said about routine because I do remember when I first stopped working, like a regular job, I had a whole new, I had to create a whole new routine because I was used to getting up and doing this and then getting ready for work, packing lunch and and it was different. And then, right, after I settled into that, and then my husband retired and we went through it again because now he was part of my everyday. And again, but the routine changed because now he was home. So I didn't have to get him off to work so it's different. It's an adjustment. No matter what, it's an adjustment. And I love having him home and I loved being home when I stopped working, but it is an adjustment to change that routine. So I'm glad you brought that up. But it's also freedom, people. It's freedom and it's fulfillment and it's future. Freedom to live on to live life on your terms, fulfillment in actually having an opportunity to cultivate community and passions and hobbies and joy and future, because depending on what you're leaving a legacy. I mean, I like to think that well, I know I am because my daughter just recently started her business. My grandson's talking to me about starting his business. So now I'm leaving a legacy of entrepreneurship for my children and my grandchildren. I'm working with women all the day. So I think I'm leaving maybe a legacy of wisdom that I have gained through these years. And it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, legacy is so important, and it's definitely something to be considering, your 40s, 50s, especially 60s. I think we should always be thinking of it actually, but especially as we're getting older. And a couple of days ago, I talked about my mum having the first vegetarian restaurant in Derby. So I decided to Google it. And I was so pleased because there's a Facebook group called Derby Past. I think it's past and present or past. And it talked about her, it showed a photo which had come from our local newspaper, and a lot of people were talking about it. It was so beautiful. Everybody said such kind things about my mum, about working there. There was lots of staff making comments, talking about the food that my mum made because she made her lemon meringues were the best. She actually is in several books for there was something called Just a Bite by Egon Rone, and she was on that in that year and year after year, probably at least 10 years consecutively. And her lemon meringue pies often got a mention. So that's her legacy. We talked about a yoga class as well. She used to do yoga and how people loved that. And we had an operatic singer called Gordon Farrell who actually taught Kate Bush how to sing. So there's just so much impact that she made, such a great legacy. And this is really inspiring to me. And so this is your moment. What can you do as your legacy? And there's so many opportunities, even if it's just going and doing something very simple like going to a care home and going and talking to the people who live there and just being there for them. You will make a legacy because everybody will talk about you, about how you made an impact and helped people and made them happy. There's so many ways to do it.
I love that. I love that. That's cool. Facebook, I like that. That's awesome. What really kind of strikes me though is I was sitting back kind of preparing for this episode and I was kind of sitting back and looking at everything. And what really stood out for me is, yeah, there's things that happen at 40 that are different than 50, and there's things that happen at 50 that are, different from 60. But what really struck me was how all of these stages have things in common, whether you're 40 or 50 or 60. We're still having to break those myths like life goes downhill after 40.
Yeah, it's not true. It's not true. 40 is when I had probably one of the best experiences of my life. Okay, that was me going to move to another country, so that was exciting. But it was like being 20 again. I was in a community where age didn't matter. You go to nightclubs, in your 50s and 60s, everybody goes together. There was um, a country club there I was living in a place called Tabater, and it was okay. You could play tennis there and all sorts of sports and swimming, sauna, all of this. But they'd have like a discos there all the time. They'd have bands, and everybody was there from the youngest to the oldest. It was a family thing. And all of the nightclubs, it would just be a mixture of people of all ages. And so in their culture, they didn't have an age thing, and it just wiped it all out. And it just made me really realize that age was a number. And nobody looked at me and went, well, hey, old man, what are you doing here? There was none of that.
Yeah, yeah, look at the old guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I did get that once. I remember there was some techno playing, and I'd had a few sherbets, a few drinks. I don't drink anymore, but in those days, and I was absolutely going crazy. And there was one young guy, and he was literally with his mouth dropped, and he came up and talked to me, and he says, I've never seen any human being dance as enthusiastically as you. And I was in my 40s and I could outdance this
Sorry.
guy, So there you
Okay,
go.
now I'm trying to really picture it. Drunk Andy in his flashy car with his flashy clothes, dancing like nobody's ever danced before.
That's right. Oh,
Oh,
see, I was,
I'm having an image, Andy, and I don't know if I like it.
yeah. Well, hey, but why? You were all about being a rebel. So I was a rebel when I was younger. I'm trying to calm down. So maybe this movement of being a rebel is not a good thing for me. What is he going to unleash?
Oh, but there you go. See, that's the truth of it. Transitions are thresholds. They're not endings. When we're
Yeah.
transitioning from one age to the next, it's a threshold and things are going to change a little bit, but
Hmm.
it's just a transition period. It's not an ending. And no matter what you're transitioning into, no woman should ever have to walk through them alone. So
Yeah.
journaling, visioning, you know, finding a mentor, rituals for marking transitions, those used to be pretty commonplace. I remember when I was like, I want to say 13 or 14, and I had hit the traditional female transition that says, trying to be graceful here because we're on YouTube. I had hit the female transition that says, you are now a woman. And I remember that my aunts were up there for a big family reunion. And after dinner and everything, the kids were always sent to play and the men would all go off to do their thing or whatever. And the women would go in and, you know, I thought they were like cleaning up the kitchen or whatever. I don't know. I was a kid. I was sent off to play. But this time I was invited in with the women. And I remember because it was like, I'm all grown up now because I got to sit down at the table with them. They weren't cleaning up. They
Mm.
went in and they had Sanka. Okay. So I got to go in and have my first cup of Sanka and some kind of cookies or something, as I remember, with the women. And it was a ritual now. It was like a little transition thing of, okay, you're no longer a child now. You're a young woman. And so you get to come in and do the woman stuff of, Sanka and cookies and talk with the rest of the women. And it meant a lot to me, though. I mean, I know it sounds kind of silly now, but it actually meant a lot to me that my aunts recognized that I'm not a child anymore. I'm a young woman. And they brought me into that circle of women instead of the children. And it was cool. So these little things that we used to do that I don't know, we don't seem to do them as much anymore. But the journaling and the vision questing and the mentorship and the rituals, they aren't just nice ideas. They're tools that, help you, they help keep you grounded and growing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I love what you're saying, and I think we're kind of missing this. I wonder how much society's still doing this, but this idea of community and what family does. For me, it's not as nice as and eloquent as your story, but I remember when I was 18, being taken out for my first legal pint with my friend Chris Lewis, a friend of the family, and that I remember it to this day. I know exactly where I went to, and I remember how buzzy I felt because I was not used to drinking 2 pints of British ale is very strong compared to lager and so on and Budweiser, but yeah, it's that was these kind of rites of passage, as it were, are very, very important. And I wonder how much of them are we're still having now. I think it's very important.
I'm just laughing because I'm remembering when you said the thing about the British lager. Yeah, I don't drink much anymore either, but boy, when I did, the British beers were my favorite. American beers are
Yeah, they're very watered down compared to the British ale. No offense, everybody, but it's just stronger. The stuff's stronger. And,
It's real
yeah.
beer. It's real beer.
Well, yeah. I mean, the problem is you're going to get drunk very quickly. So it depends on what you want to do. So, yeah, it kind of goes swings and roundabouts. Yeah, that's right.
So if you take nothing else away today, besides the fact that Andy dancing is
Oh, my goodness. Why did I say that? You're
if you
bringing the
take
worst out in
nothing,
me. Stop
if you
it.
take if you take nothing else away today, remember 40, 50, and 60 are not ages of loss. Okay. They're gateways of becoming. And I'm going to leave you with 3 questions to think about and go get your journal. Okay. Because journaling helps. So go get your journal and think about these 3 questions. Okay. What do you want to release? What do you want to reclaim? And what do you want to create?
These are great questions. Make this the beginning of something. It's not the end. It's not the dwindling down. This can be the start. It all depends on how you're seeing stuff. It's all what you're doing with your mind, your mindset. There's 2 ways of looking at everything. So let's look at the beneficial stuff. This is an opportunity for great things. Make it so.
So thanks for tuning in to This Is What 40 Looks Like. Share your stories with us. We want to hear your stories because this is what thriving at midlife really looks like.
So make this a new beginning. Keep stepping into your next chapter boldly, beautifully, and on your own terms.
Thanks for tuning in to This Is What 40 Looks Like. If you loved today's episode, share it with a friend, leave us a review, hit that notification button so you never miss an episode, and don't forget to leave us a comment. We'd love to hear how your next chapter is unfolding.
And remember, your age is not a deadline, it's a launching pad. Keep rebelling, keep rising, and we'll see you on the next episode.